Hello, Ms. Winnicky. This is Matthew Metza for my ACP Capstone project. Um, so I guess I should start with my journey. So where did my journey begin? It began in Global, my first year, freshman year as in high school. Pretty aggressive transition from middle school, from a student who didn't really care about grades, didn't really care about much anything. I disbanded from a lot of my social groups in 8th grade, and I was just kind of free solo. So high school with extra workload and especially the difference of global compared to like a normal legacy classroom was very different. So that's kind of where I started. I've learned a lot. I learned a lesson that I don't feel like a lot of people um, have, but it's a lot of personal searching, soul searching that you need to do. I like to sit, I like to think, I like to meditate. So I feel like I've been very fortunate in the fact that I've kind of found this is patience with myself, not not patience with people, not patience with technology or certain things like your standard definition of patience. It's patience with myself and my future and where I'm going. A lot of seniors that I know are really stressed out about not knowing what to do, not knowing where to go. I'm very patient and do I know what I want to do for the rest of my life? Absolutely not. But I don't expect to, and I don't feel bad about the fact that I don't. I'm very confident and patient with myself that I understand I won't know what to do. The next 2 years for me personally is relatively planned out, but after that, I'm not really sure. I'm just confident in myself that as I take steps forward, as I take personal growth steps in my life and do things that I feel are necessary to explore and discover what I want to do, that my future will be put together. And as I make steps forward, everything will fall into place. So, like, one example is last year I was really interested in being a doctor and being like a chiropractor or working something in medical. So I worked with Dr. Murray for a few days, and I discovered that chiropractic just wasn't my thing. I did a lot of research in biomedical engineering, and I was like, that's not really my thing. Recently, I've been last year I was really into biking. This year I'm really into mountain biking, and I've been working on my own bike and kind of figuring out, working on it, and I realized I'm really into it. So I was gonna call my local wheel and sprocket in Delafield and see if they need an extra assistant or someone to help. Um, Even if they don't have to pay me, it's still like work experience to see if that's what I'm interested in. And that's my personal step forward, and I'll walk away with an extra experience that I may like or dislike, and that'll help guide my next future decisions. So I'm very patient with myself, and I don't feel lost as a lot of kids do. I'm very comfortable with the idea of being lost, actually, and that I'll figure it out as we go based on making positive steps forward. I'm life ready because there's a lot of evidence in the idea that I'm more mature concerning finances. I'm much more capable when we talk about finances, what to do, where to go, how to invest my money, looking into stocks, things like that. Even before the pandemic and the riots in the US, I was really into news. I wouldn't say really into news, but I was just an informed citizen of the United States. And I feel that as a true citizen of any country, you should be informed about the local and regional and national policies that your country is doing. And that's what I was doing. I was keeping myself informed, maybe not as informed as some, but more informed than most. And I feel like that's my responsibility and duty as an adult now. So I feel like as far as there's a lot of maturity things that have grown up for me and a lot of different conversations that I can have now that I didn't have before, and that's definitely, in my opinion, showing a lot of growth for me. Who's been instrumental? My parents, for sure. My mom, my dad, my stepdad. I've been in a not necessarily uncommon position of being in a divorced family and having my mom and my dad being separate. Their ideas of life and their opinions of how to move forward are also occasionally a little bit different. And I take from each perspective what I believe is right for me, but I think having those two perspectives is actually really nice. It's nice to have those two perspectives and those two ideas of life, and I can take what I hear and put it into my own reality. I've also talked to my stepdad. I love my stepdad a lot. He's a really great guy, super hard worker, and I've talked to him about this, that I have immense respect for him and my mom. How hard they work, how much they work. It's like 8, 10 plus hours a day, in the house on weekends, vacation. Uh, they'll be working, but they work to satisfy the needs of me and my siblings. I know there's days they don't like their job. There's a lot of days they don't like their job, but there's also a lot of days that they push through that, and even though they have no motivation, they find a way to make it happen. And as someone who doesn't have a lot of motivation moving through school, I take a lot of that energy and I try and soak it up and I do the best that I can with it. And I hope that in the future I can find that that level of motivation, and I'm not quite sure what the word I'm searching for is, but even if you don't have motivation, it's what pushes you to do something even though you don't want to do it. That's a lot of the energy that I take off of them and I try and push through in my personal life. What's my plans for next year and beyond? Next year I'm going to St. Cloud, Minnesota to play junior hockey. Mr. Winnicky, as you know, I play hockey for the high school. Represent. It was a wonderful 3 years that I played high school hockey, and it was a great decision for me. It was for sure positive step forward. Eventually, I hopefully plan on playing D3 or D1 hockey for somewhere with some sort of offer, but we'll get there when we get there. For the next 2 years, I just know I'll be training and practicing and doing my best to get where I want to be. And I'm very excited for it. I'm very, very excited for my next 2 years. What do I still need to learn? I don't know what I need to learn yet. I feel that my procrastinating habits need to be tamed, but I also feel that as I continue with just my life and my journey, that my professionalism to get things done will help dampen the effect of what I'm currently experiencing as my procrastination. Whether that's for hitting a deadline for school, hitting a deadline for work, or hitting or missing your paycheck. I think there's certain things of professionalism that you need to get done, and even though I procrastinate a lot, there's always the kick in the rump you always get for deadlines. And I just think throughout life, it won't be tamed. I don't think it'll ever be tamed. But I do think that as life continues, professionalism will dampen it, and growing some grit through life will also help me tame that as well. But I need to keep it in mind. I need to keep it in mind so I can keep it in check. If I don't understand what's happening with it, then it will become out of control. So I do need to keep it in the forefront of my mind. What have I done differently what would I have done differently in my high school journey? I don't believe I would have done anything differently. Occasionally I look back and I think to myself, like, why did I get that grade in that class? Why didn't I just do a little extra work on a few days just to get the assignment done, to make the assignment look a little bit better, or have a better connection with my teachers, which does help as far as grades go. Just asking for help, like really simple things. But I don't feel like I would have done anything different if I went back today. I don't feel like I want to do anything different. I think what I have done is given me enough leeway, fortunately, and a certain amount of grit that I already carry and possess has gotten me to this point, so I think I'll move through with that. But I don't think I regret anything, because all of those things are learning lessons. Like, all that frustration is something that I can take to myself and learn from and get better as far as moving forward in my life. So I don't think I would have regret anything that I've accomplished in high school. And then what advice? So I was kind of struggling when I was thinking about this. And through my personal experience, just moving through high school side by side with life is really wild, and it hits you with a lot of different situations. And in my opinion, if you're fortunate enough to have situations in your life that make you struggle, that you'll see that things aren't that big of a deal. You'll see that things in the large picture aren't that immense. Benchmarks aren't as intense as you think. Assignments aren't as intense as benchmarks aren't as intense as you think. Assignments aren't as intense.
Darren's right, cuh.
Thank you. Sorry for that, by the way. I'm not doing this again. This is like 10 minutes long. Benchmarks aren't as intense as you think. Assignments really aren't as intense as you think. Those people that really frustrate you and really make you mad and really talk smack about you in those social situations truly isn't that big of a deal. There's certain things in life that just make you take a step back and wonder, like, wow, this was not as hard as I thought, not as difficult as my mind was creating it. Because especially in a non-motivated high school brain, you turn little assignments into massive tasks. You make it super difficult for yourself just because of what's going on up here. And when you realize it's not that big of a deal, it's very easy to move through. And it puts things in perspective, but whatever happens, you have to make positive step forward. You have to do something. You have to make sure you're making progress and stand in stride. That's what my grandpa told my mom. That's what my mom taught me, and through life, it's done nothing but positive things for me. People as well. You'll experience a lot of different changing people throughout high school. People you've met in middle school and elementary school that you've been with for a long time, and you realize maybe these aren't the people I need to be with. Their energy is not what I need. They're not taking steps forward. I've been talking about a lot of taking steps forward because I believe that's what I need to do in life to be successful. You have to keep making little steps forward. Anything you can. You can't. Staying stationary isn't helping. It's not helping yourself. You're just holding yourself in a standstill. And if people aren't taking steps forward with you, I do think you should get rid of those people. You should slowly stop communicating with those people. And I know it's hard because you have scheduled classes and sometimes they're in those classes, but when they're not in your classes, you should work to move them out of your life. Me personally, I know a bunch of people that I did talk to and I had really good friendships with, but they weren't taking steps forward with me. They got involved with other things like drugs, alcohol, family life that they didn't keep moving forward with, and they're at a standstill. And I'm all about helping your friends. I'm all about being an emotional support for people that need it. And sometimes people just need a little bit of gas to light their fire. But there's long-term effects to that. There's long-term effects to trying to help people, and if you're helping someone for the long term and they're not making any progress, that's something you shouldn't be. You should. That's something you need to start letting go. You need to start thinking a little more selfishly, and acknowledge the fact that you're here for your own growth. You're here for your own benefit, and so there's great people you can bring along with you, but there's a lot of social pressures in high school that push people down, and if you're helping them and they're not making progress, then you need to start moving them out of your life and focus on yourself and surround yourself with positive people that are taking steps forward with you. That'd be my advice, and that was probably one of the hardest things I had to do in high school, is push people away. Thank you, Mr. Winnicky. I've loved your class. I loved your high school class. You're a wonderful person. Your positivity is contagious. I don't know how you keep that up every day, but I love it. I love everything you do, everything you've done for me and all of my peers and in my advisory and just throughout high school has been wonderful. So I hope you have an amazing summer. I hope you can affect other students as you've affected me positively, and I hope you can encourage other students to also continue moving forward and continue making positive steps in their journey. Thank you. Matthew Metzner, signing off.